It's a great privilege to walk with people who are suffering, and that's what our first charism as Passionists is. As Passionist, life calls you to community. It calls you to live, to love, and to be passionate about living with other men who want to reach out with a sense of mission. I would like just to share the story of two men who inspired me. Two men who reached out to refugees with a sense of compassion, of justice and of care. One of them is still alive. His name's Brother Jerem. And Brother Jerem worked on the border of Indonesia and Papua New Guinea. He spent many of his hours, nights, reaching village people who were suffering, who were being attacked, who were being executed, who were being put down. He reached them with compassion of medicine, with food, and with comfort. I was fortunate at that time to work with Brother Jerem in the border place, a place called Canberra Toro. He was the boss, even though I was the ordained priest. Both Passionists and passionate about caring for those in need. Brother Jerem warned me one day that people were coming late at that night across the border, and they were looking for medicine and food. We would not give them any form of armoury for violence, only medicine and food. But what they wanted deeply was to celebrate the Mass, the Eucharist. And that's where I came into play. And that's where I come into play with my second vocation, the vocation of being a priest, which was a struggle for me to decide. Passionists, that's what I wanted, because I knew that I was called to live out my first vow, to preach Christ crucified. But on this night, it was to bring Christ, his presence in the Eucharist, in the Mass, to those who were frightened, who were only so young, who were freedom fighters, who had heard about the strength of being part of this organisation called the Catholic Community from the Dutch priests who were in the area on the other side of the border, and wanted the grace of God in their suffering, in their moment of fear, in their fight for justice. They needed a sense of God being with them. Brother Jerem, still alive, still works in Papua New Guinea, still bringing those messages to a new generation of Passionist young men in that nation, that they may be instilled a great sense of Christ in their life, as they can't work in mission unless they have that deep relationship with Christ. He spends time doing that. The other man is now deceased, a bishop, Bishop John Etheridge, who was first brought into our Catholic community by his family, then moved to be a Passionist, ordained as a priest and went to Papua New Guinea as a missionary, and was called to be a bishop at the time that the people on both sides of the border were needing help. He then, in his influence as a bishop, went to those refugee camps, went to the poor, went to the frightened, and said, I am with you, with food, medicine, and prayer. It's a great privilege to walk with people who are suffering, and that's what our first charism as Passionists is, a call to be passionate and to reach those who are suffering, reach those who are frightened and angry, and to be able to tell them that God is with them no matter what.